This is the 90 Degree Show brought to you by the Marching Podcast. And now here's your host, the Phantom Podcaster himself, Joe Beard.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 90 Degree Show. I'm your host, Joe Beard, and happy to be of service for you. This is week 3 of the 2016 college football season, and we are happy to be bringing and broadcasting you another episode of the 90 Degree Show. We appreciate all those listening through iTunes, Facebook, Twitter, our website, our blog, or wherever you are on the interwebs. At the end of the broadcast, if you decide you like the show, then we appreciate a donation to the network if you feel so in your heart, of course. Just simply go to themarchingpodcast.com and click on the donate button to help improve the show and help build our scholarship fund. Tonight's show is brought to you by Block Band Music and Publishing, The Edge One Productions, and Double Time Entertainment. We welcome you to week 3 of the 90 Degree Show. Super excited to be broadcasting from our own studio and ready to introduce a new format to the show. Like we talked about last week, we're not taking the calls in accordance with Blog Talk Radio. However, if you'd like to be on the show to talk about the battle you attended, you are welcome to do so and be a part of our recording. We will talk to someone who attended the event each week in our roundtable discussions, and we'll give our own insight from our videos. I will give our guests a list of questions, and they will fill in any personal information that they feel important to tell the tale of the battle. In this podcast, we will catch up on week 2 by featuring the JSU versus UNLV game in Las Vegas. I saw the performance at the community center that Wednesday night, and I saw the video of the game. Our inside look will be from my crab brother, Isaac Orton. My front door on the baddest crab trumpet line in history, the 9-7 Thugsters. That's right, 9-7 Thugsters, I thought I told you. Now, just in case you see a guy named Michael Houston, who is also one of my crab brothers, running around with the number 8 on, that is a different story. That's right, Isaac Orton was my front door, and he was number 8. Just a little something with the 9-7 Thugsters. But Isaac is a great guy, and I also remember Isaac having a high GPA when we were at Jackson State. So really excited to catch up with him. We will then go to week 3 for the Southern Heritage Classic that took place in Memphis, Tennessee, with Jackson State University and Tennessee State University. Gerald Howard from HBCUbands.com was our inside view there at the game, and Rashad Waters and I saw the video provided by HBCUbands.com. I will ask the guys in the first segment how their week went. We'll touch base on this week being 9/11. In the second segment, we'll get their take on the game. And finally, we will play our game in the last segment for the week based on an article from HBCUdigest.com. We want to give a shout out to the great Christy Walker and say happy birthday to her. It was her birthday this week of week 3. And that was September 11th. So she's actually sharing a day with the actual day that we talked about. And we talked about her, and we wanted to give a shout out to her in the original recording, and we hoped you enjoyed the show. You can email the show at marchingpodcast@gmail.com, tweet us at marchingpodcast, or follow our blog, blog4.themarchingpodcast.com. You're now here with the Marching Podcast, and we are in week 3 now, but we took week 2 off for the Labor Day break. In week 2, our feature was the Jackson State UNLV game, and I was not able to make it to Vegas, but I have my crab brother here to tell us about the event, Mr. Isaac Orton. What's going on today, man?
What's going on, Joe? You doing all right, man?
Yeah, man, I'm doing all right. I appreciate your time. I was all excited when I was talking to Casey, and she said, "Oh, if you come, are you coming?" I was like, "Nah, I ain't gonna be able to make it." And she said, "Oh, I'm going to see Isaac." I was like, "Oh, you going to see Isaac? Oh man!" So I went ahead, and so she texted me your number. I hadn't hollered at you in a minute, man. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Just out here doing the family thing and working, and between my activities and the kids' activities, I stay busy. But man, I had a good time at the game. I was excited. I thought you was gonna be there,
Yeah,
but yeah, found
yeah,
out you couldn't make it. But
yeah.
yeah, we had a blast though.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. So yeah, I'm kind of like you with the family thing and with the time, all that. So we'll jump right into it. What was your initial reaction to the event?
I walked into the Bellagio because I ended up staying at the Bellagio because they were the hosting hotel. So
Uh-huh.
walking in, I got excited. I started seeing everybody representing Jackson State. They had their blue and white on with the tiger, all kind of paraphernalia,
Right.
alumni splashed across the chest on the back. So excited to see people that came out to support Jackson State football team.
Yeah, that was really exciting. Plus, it was in Vegas too, so that's kind of one thing I was excited about is just being out on the Western region because it would have
Oh
been
yeah.
it would just been like a normal thing if that was like in Nashville or if it was something like that. Who were you looking most forward to see?
Well, I was really looking forward to seeing like band people that I marched with, that were around in our era. So especially, I was hoping to see some of my Trump Funk Crab brothers. Definitely, I was really looking forward to seeing y'all. But anybody that was, just in the band around the same time as me, seeing Casey, seeing Kevin Buchanan, aka Snacks. So I hung out with them a little bit. We had a few drinks. It was a good time.
Yeah, man, I totally feel you on that. I'm always looking for the folks from my era too, or just any of the CBs. But CB, man, we got to get together and do
Well,
something.
we definitely have to do
Yeah,
that.
we got to work
Definitely.
that out, man. Were there any disappointments from the event?
I guess I could say I was disappointed that the football team got beat. I mean, they got beat bad from like the beginning of the game to the end. So when I actually got down there, telling people that I was here for the Jackson State UNLV game, and then a couple of people were saying that UNLV is so bad and they had such a bad year. So I was actually like hopeful. I'm like, oh, we have a chance.
Right.
And then all that hope went right out the door once the game started. So that was probably the only disappointment I had.
Yeah, I have the little ESPN app on my phone, and I can set your favorites or your options to your own school. So I got Jackson State on there, so I see when they doing something. So I think when I logged in and I was like maybe 15, 20 minutes into the game, I looked and it was already like 21-0 or something like that. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And then I think
It was,
hearing from you, they were just running the ball.
yeah, off of runs.
Oh.
They did a few passes here and there, but for the most part, we gave up a lot of ground yardage.
Wow, that's crazy. Who do you believe had the best performance?
Definitely Jackson State, the Sonic Boom of the South. It was by far. Even the UNLV fans, like after they marched off the field, the UNLV side, they stood up, gave a standing ovation. They were very impressed, very much.
Were there any surprises from the show?
Yeah, I was actually okay. So I'm used to seeing Jackson State put the JSU on the field, but this time they had the JSU on the field. They put UNLV on the field, and at the very end, they spelled out Las Vegas. So, and they had a very nice step two drill. They featured the girls. The girls did a great job. Prince and Jay said just an all around great field show.
Yeah, man, I started noticing that myself about the boom. I think they're not doing the 32 squads anymore. I guess everybody's out there. So they're spelling a whole lot more words. I mean, I saw,
In the step two drill, it went goal line to goal line. So
right.
you can tell that they're actually putting a lot more people out on the field than what we used to march, 128 on the field? They're able to do a lot more with more people out there.
Yeah, man, and that's cool. I was actually tripping about how they also did the JSU UNLV thing. They actually had the JSU on the UNLV side and then the UNLV on the JSU side, or vice versa.
Right.
Like it wasn't just you had to be on one side of the field to see the entire formation. Like wherever side of the field, they had the opposite school on that side. So I thought that was a nice little detail that they threw in there, man. I thought that was really, really good.
I was very impressed as well.
What was the best part of the event?
Honestly, in my opinion, the best part of the event was just being back in the JSU atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? Seeing the pom-poms in the air as the band rock, doing the chants and cheering for the football team, you showing your team spirit. So that was my favorite part of it.
So I know when we were talking that you said that there were a couple of events there. Now, I know that the Wednesday night before you got there, they performed at a community center. And they marched. Yeah, they marched to the community center, and they had a field for them to perform. And they did a decent show there. So what other events, because I know you said there was like a meet and greet, what other things were like there with the alumni that you were able to attend?
Right, so they had a meet and greet at the Bellagio in one of the suites. So, you're able to go up and have a few drinks and, take a couple pictures in front of the JSU backsplash and shake hands with a few people and meet a couple people that you haven't met before. It was a nice, warm meet and greet. It was a pretty good gathering.
The meet and greet, was it Thursday night or it was Wednesday night?
They had two. They had a Wednesday night like meet and greet preset or whatever, and then on a Thursday before the game, people came up to the suite and you were able to grab some pregame drinks and everything like that before going off to the tailgate.
Oh wow, okay.
Because they had a tailgate as well, and it was sponsored by some Jackson State or Jackson radio station. I can't remember the name of it at the moment.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, that's what's up, man. What was your reaction to the event at the end? How did you feel that the event went overall?
Overall, I can honestly say I had a blast. It was good to see people like in their JSU attire all throughout the hotels, all on the strip, all in the football field at the stadium. And then also, when I was leaving out, we caught a lift to the game and back. So, on my way back to get picked up, so many UNLV fans stopped me. They was like, man, we love your band. The band is awesome. That was real good. Being that, my main thing, I came out to see the band and my band people. So, it felt good that they appreciate all the hard work that goes into being a band member.
Yeah, man, and it's good to still 15 years later, still be involved and see how they're doing. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
Still seeing the funk and all of that stuff. So yeah, that was my main thing. I hope they can come back out here again for Vegas, man, so I can make that trip back up. But
oh yeah, you definitely have to.
Man,
And like I said, next time we got to get all the CDs together. We got to hang out.
Need to write music and drill? Get it on the field. Outfit your band. Keep your administrator happy and still have a life. Encountering drama in the process, ain't nobody got time for that. Let Block Band Music assist you with musical arrangements and drills to fit your band, and also the equipment, gear, and accessories to keep the visuals, music, and marching on point. Contact blockbandmusic@gmail.com and see how this worldwide minority-owned business can uplift your band.
Hello, this is Dr. Martin Rex Kedziora. I am the Chief Academic Officer for the Moreno Valley Unified School District. I'm a graduate of the University of La Verne, where I received my doctorate degree, and you are listening to the Marching Podcast Radio Network.
You're now here in week 3 of the 90 Degree Show with the 2016 Southern Heritage Classic, Jackson State University and Tennessee State University. We have the great Gerard Howard.
Hey, what's going on, man? What's up?
You guys can check out his footage at hbcubands.com. Gerard attended the game and will be our insight voice here. And the magnanimous Rashad Waters. What's going on tonight, man?
What's up?
Good to hear from you, Rashad. Good to hear from you. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. Gerard, what happened with you this week, man?
I guess just kind of going back to week 1. Did Grambling versus Virginia Commonwealth, and then I ended up going and catching Miles College versus Fort Valley out there in Birmingham. It kind of really turned out to be a really great game. Enjoyed capturing the footage from Miles. And both bands actually have a pretty good program this year. But Miles was actually kind of pretty exceptional. Really, really enjoyed kind of getting a chance to check them out. I guess what happens is that from a footage standpoint, you kind of sit back and every time you go to an event, you always want to be able to capture moments and sounds that something new. Just kind of be able to capture it in a way that, even from your standpoint, it's something new. Grambling-wise, kind of going out there, the lighting wasn't necessarily as good, but the Miles games was kind of really on point and really just kind of checking them out and listening to them. Really a great contender for many of the SWAC schools for this particular season.
Okay. And I know they would love to hear that because we all know Miles.
Yeah.
So it's good to hear that they're doing well.
Just kind of piggybacking on one of our other, offline conversations from earlier. After all that, I went to the beach.
Oh, nice.
It's one of those things to where that's actually kind of something that I've started doing as kind of an annual tradition for week one. After hitting those games, being able to hit the beach one last time to kind of chill out right there before the season began.
Now, what beach are you going to?
Pensacola. Went out there to Pensacola.
Okay.
And just to kind of say, too, if you all are going out to the beach, it's nothing like kind of getting your little room beachside or whatnot. You open up you go ahead and open up a little balcony door and whatnot, and listen to the waves and all that stuff. Just kind of work on Saturday, chill out on Sunday.
Right.
Like in this case, it was chill out on Monday, but, work and chill,
Right. Rashad Waters, what's going on with you, man?
Hey, it's all good, bro. It's all good, man. As far as my week is concerned, I guess it started out pretty similar to my man Gerard's last week. I think I pretty much stayed in last week as far as, catching up on work. There is a lot of work to be done, sir, particularly as this marching band season is going, trying to make sure that we provide all the bats and shoes and gloves and music and everything else in the world for these band directors that are working hard. So I stayed in and then ended up making an impromptu trip to Carolina Beach on last Sunday. So that was really cool. It's actually my first time in Carolina Beach in several years. It was a great time to be had, man. As far as this week was concerned, the last couple of days I spent some time checking out the bands, making sure that I watched Tennessee State and Jackson State. I also watched Norfolk State show. In addition to that, I watched a little bit of Texas A&M, which is my first time actually seeing a whole halftime performance from them. Not a show-style band, but very entertaining as it was. And them versus Prairie View A&M. It's pretty cool.
So for me this week, I was excited because they started football on Thursday. And I got to see Carolina. My family, from my mother's side, is from North Carolina. So I was excited to see them on TV and got mad because they was hitting them helmet to helmet in the pocket. I'm not really tripping about him rolling out the pocket, but hey, in the pocket. But that's another story. So I went from anger, and then I went to total sadness because I saw the NBA Hall of Fame induction, and Allen Iverson was there, and that's the main reason why I wanted to see it was Allen Iverson because that was my boy, and I was crying the whole time. So, but it was a good thing, Shaq was funny, so that got me kind of out of it. So I watched that. Then I go through on the Boominati page right after that, and I started looking for the tapes to see the band, and I see that Gerard Howard is a focal point in the Boominati page. So shout out to the Boominati page. I love that we got a Boominati page. But I actually have to give you a round of applause here because I see an article and they say Howard's work with the HBCU marching bands earns an exhibit in the new Smithsonian Museum. I say, whoa! So looks like you have some work there coming out, sir. So could you tell us about that a little bit here?
Yeah, and to really kind of give you all a rundown on it, what it is essentially is that my work, as well as Garrett Edgerton's work, is going to be featured inside of a HBCU exhibit inside of the Smithsonian. It's either going to feature, I think, the Bayou Classic or either just some sort of HBCU football package. Our work was really just selected, I guess, among others, to be featured inside of that. Snippets of our work are featured inside of an exhibit inside of the Smithsonian's new Museum of African American History.
So I got one more round of applause.
Thank you. And I tell you what's interesting, man, is that it's kind of been a little surreal, if you will, to sit back and think that your work was selected to be a part of something like that, especially having shot for so many years and whatnot, and really to kind of be able to receive that type of honor is a really great thing. It's been pretty cool.
Well, that's outstanding. I still remember the guest book. Shout out to
See, Joe Beard is taking y'all back now. Joe Beard is taking y'all way, way back to before any of the Black College Marching Bands sites started. We had a guest book on the Sonic Boom of the South's page, and what happened with it was that it was originally just supposed to be for fans of the Sonic Boom of the South, fans and parents, just leaving comments about the band. And what ended up happening was that we started getting a lot of other schools on, other bands on there actually talking about Jackson State or either talking about each other. So it would be Alabama A&M talking about Alabama State. It would be Southern talking about Prairie View, and that was the Southern Prairie View fight happened. There were actually people from the Southern and Prairie View fight arguing on a message on the guest book. And it was crazy. It's like the fight happened, and then like the next day people were on the Jackson State guest book arguing about it.
Wow.
Yeah, so
it got hostile, Rashad. So
yes,
one night the director stopped practice. Well, I think we warmed up. We did our warm up, and before we got into practice, I think it was all the directors were up there. They said, "Yo, please do not participate in the negative comments. The stuff is supposed to be for parents. It's not supposed to be for what you guys are doing." And it was like, "F you, fool. I'll come over there and blow your house up, dog." Like, you know what I'm saying? It was like that. So that's why I always say shout out to the guest book, because I know I left a couple comments on there.
Yeah, like it's really amazing. Like I say, basically, like I said, when I started BlackCollegeBands.com, the idea was that these people needed a place to go, because the ultimatum was you have to do something with this. Yeah. You had to take these folks down. And so it was a matter of just corralling folks and pointing them to the BlackCollegeBands.com site. And that was how things got started. I think with Christy, I think that she was inspired by the Southern Prairie View fight started. Have you all talked to her about that?
Well, she was
on started about that same time.
Yeah. She was on my show. On the show, but I'm sure we're going to retake it and redo it since we talking about it now this week. You know what I mean?
Yeah, both of them were pretty much, when they officially started the fifth, I think it was like the spring 99, and I had just started like right before in that fall.
Okay.
But it was still kind of
around the same time,
yeah,
same
it was
events.
Still more or less around enough, give or take, me and Christy are like the mother and father, if you will.
Right.
The online Black College Bands movement.
This week is 9/11, tragic event that took place in our history. I'll ask you guys specifically where you were that day. Gerard, where were you?
I was at the house. I just came back from the gym. I was at home, and one of my homeboys called me, and he was like, "Hey, man, somebody crashed a plane into the World Trade Center." And so, when he mentioned that, I just thought that he was talking about somebody, a Cessna or something like that, had crashed into the World Trade Center. A little small plane. And so when I cut on the TV, I think the first tower was smoking. Like, obviously something had hit him. The news was kind of glued on, and there was this real air of seriousness about what was happening. I remember while I was sitting there watching the news, I think like the second plane hit. And when the second plane hit, it was kind of like that it just got real moment.
Right.
It got real fast. Real fast, because from that standpoint, you definitely knew that, that something was up.
Right. Rashad, where were you, man?
I was at UNCG working on my graduate degree there, and I remember I was coming out the shower, and my roommate was watching it on TV. I think the first plane had just hit probably while I was in the shower. Wow, this is pretty amazing. And then, like Gerard said, the second plane hit, and you're like, whoa, oh my God.
Right.
The towers fall not long after that. It was mind-blowing, man. I couldn't believe that this was happening. I did talk to Shay about this today because I told her I wanted to make sure that we always spend time when this comes across talking about this event. Shay is my girlfriend. For those of you who have listened to the Pronalysis, it's her voice that starts the show. She is actually a New Yorker, and so she is from the Bronx. Went over to a friend's house, and she could actually see the whole thing happening when it happened, wow. Watching the tower fall. And it was just, it's just something that you just don't imagine. When you are walking around in your day-to-day life certain things just aren't supposed to happen. Something happens in the movie and you're like, why don't you run? Why don't you do this? It's easy to say when you're watching the movie, but when crazy things that are not supposed to happen in real life happen, it's mind-boggling. You become a deer in the headlights. And I think that's kind of how it was for her. It was just, her words were, it was surreal. I just want to, make sure that we always take time to remember this attack, wherever the source was, because we hear lots of different things. It was a terrible thing that happened. And I just want to always make sure that we never forget what happened.
I was in graduate school like you, and I was on the East Coast, so I was on like the current time of the situation, and I was in Indiana, Pennsylvania. Well, the plane that flew and crashed in Somerset, Pennsylvania was, I don't know, maybe like 20 minutes from me. So
wow.
So yeah, they probably flew over us, or it was somewhere proximity from what was going on to where we were. And I'll never forget it. I went to class that morning, and I remember coming out of class and everyone was in the hallway. But this was still early, and just came from an HBCU, so still kind of adjusting to where I was in Western Pennsylvania. So I didn't chill in the building, especially like if people were all around like that. I was like, oh man, look at all these people. I went straight to my room. You know what I mean? And I got there and I turned on the TV and was like amazed. So of course I figured it out all then. But of course my mother was calling, everyone was calling, and I actually applied to graduate school at Hunter College there in New York, and just thought about if I was there. But definitely want to remember those folks, especially the ones that died.
Double Time Entertainment. Our passion is music and promoting HBCU marching bands as well as high school marching bands through high-quality movie videos and photos. We have worked with BET, Yamaha, Ludwig, Honda Motor Company, and been featured on CNN and Lifetime Network's series Bama State Style. We also help and orchestrate Battle of the Bands with marketing and promotions, and also became the official media team for the Queen City Battle of the Bands in Charlotte, North Carolina. Join Double Time Entertainment on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and now new on Periscope. Music lovers are noteworthy.
This is Antonio Barino, Graduate Assistant Director, Assistant Arranger for the Alabama State University Mighty Marching Hornets, and you're listening to the Marching Podcast Radio Network.
Here in this segment, I wanted to ask you guys about the Southern Heritage Classic. Gerard attended the game and filmed the game. Again, check that out on hbcubands.com. Rashad and I saw the video, actually saw his video, and have some questions. Want to ask you guys about it. Gerard, I'll ask you first about the halftime show, then I'll ask you about the fifth quarter. Who do you believe had the best performance?
I think both bands put on pretty good performances. Sometimes, I guess, with band battles, you kind of come down to both folks are actually doing pretty good work. From a Jackson State standpoint, I enjoyed their show. It was, to me, one of the better shows that I'd seen from them. Really, one of the better shows I've seen from them even since last year. I guess the best show I've seen in the past year or so. Tennessee State-wise, they were kind of pretty much on par with some of the work that I saw from them during the Charlotte Battle Bands, to which they put on a pretty great show also. So a number of different designs on the field, a Snapchat logo, other different things. So both shows are pretty good. I guess if I had to lean toward one other for crowd excitement, I would say Tennessee State.
Oh, okay. So the crowd, they had more of the crowd response and crowd cheer?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, that's actually good, because I also like to ask folks that were there, what could we not see from the video, or what could we not pick up from the video? And house and all that, we definitely can't judge the house or whatever.
And don't get me wrong, it's not like Jackson State didn't get house either. Tennessee State did more of a crowd appealing show, just from the standpoint of some of the designs that they made. It was just kind of really more to entertain the crowd, as opposed to just kind of really being a band head show.
What was the key thing? What was that?
I don't know. I don't know. It was something, the key to something. I don't know. Like, and at the same time too, I would be the last person to ask about some of these songs because most of the times when I'm posting some rap song, I normally just post it blank because I don't know the name. So I'm not sure what the key thing was.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I just saw it was some other type of different formation. So yeah, that's awesome, man. Rashard, who do you think had the best performance?
Oh man, there was no doubt for me. There was no deliberation for me. I had to give that undoubtedly to Tennessee State. Now, let me give full disclosure here. I did see the show from the back, but I mean, I did hear them from the front just 2 weeks ago, and they sounded pretty doggone awesome then. I also will say that Jackson State. I believe that Jackson State marched better than they did. I don't think there's much of a comparison there. Jackson State, really, really good. But I found myself, when I watched Jackson State's show, it kind of reminded me of Texas A&M. Texas A&M does flawless formations on the field. I found myself getting smarter as I was watching Texas A&M show. Like, man, I know the angle of the hypotenuse now. But was I entertained? Like, was I like, man, was I excited about what was going on? No, I wasn't. I just thought that was good. And that's kind of how I felt when I was watching Jackson. It's like they came on the field, they made the I love. I thought that was pretty cool. And they made that. The lines are pretty straight, except for that T was kind of off.
That T, the T.
But it straightened itself out. Again, after I had watched Texas A&M already. So it's kind of, after you watch Texas A&M, it really throws off your mind for any imperfections. You're like, oh, that's bad now. What could have been, oh, that was decent. Now it's bad. But then they made the JSU. And I think you or somebody else told me, like, that's their thing. THEE.
It's our alma mater. And so it's the I love thy dear old college home. The I love wherever I may roam. Hail to thee. Oh, sorry. I was about to sing the whole thing. My bad. It just rolls out of you like that. We sing it every night at the end of practice.
Just to kind of piggyback up what Joe was saying, you learn alma mater the first night you're there.
But then does it say the JSU?
Yeah.
Old English, when the was referred to as your or that. Dear old college home is referring to the university. Not the THE as opposed to like pointing out like a adjective or noun or something, but the THEE referring to the university or an entity.
Okay, well, now that I've had my grammar lesson, then I will withhold any comments from. I was thinking of you should probably take the E off when they got to that part, but I shall withhold that because Jackson State
then it'll be
has schooled me.
Yeah, then it'll be then. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Yeah.
They played Down Home Blues. Man, I really like the playing of Down Home Blues. I'm not gonna give pronouncers, I promise. Like how they played it though, gosh, man, it was really soulful. A lot of cool mellophone stuff, trombone stuff. I thought it was a little long though. But then they had to bring out the girls, and it was a cool show. It's like, man, they did a good show. But when Tennessee State came out there, and they just looked like they were having a ball, and they made the 901 on the field. Granted, the 9 looked terrible as they were dancing around, but they were just on fire. Then when they did their drill, it was pretty interesting to watch. Wasn't as good as Jackson State's, but pretty interesting. That slow song was, woo, that thing was crazy. Oh, and they started out with like, it's lit or something like that on the field. And then they made the Snapchat thing and the dance routine, then the Tennessee State. Not all the marching was bad. Some of it was pretty good. So it's like, God, that show was just, wow. Like I'm sitting there yelling at the computer. It's the type of show that had me yelling at the computer. And that's the type of show that I want if you want me to say you had the clear victory. And that's what Tennessee State gave me.
That's what's up, man. That's actually really good.
That is, yeah.
I had to say I felt like it was a draw, but hearing both of what you guys said, I guess I could see Tennessee State winning, or I could understand why people gave Tennessee State the edge. I wasn't thrilled with the Snapchat thing, but again, I couldn't hear the crowd effect. I could tell. I was like, oh, that's a Snapchat thing. I didn't, whoop to do. Then,
well, see,
go ahead.
The thing with that is that I think that Tennessee State did a good job of picking subjects that many people in the crowd could identify with.
Okay.
There are a million Snapchat, of the stadium. Most of the younger crowd, Snapchat users. So, and there were probably people Snapchatting as Tennessee State was even playing in the first place. So,
right.
It kind of comes down to, acknowledgement, and it's also kind of a pretty smart and fresh thing to always be able to hone in for what's exciting for your particular crowd for that particular weekend.
Exactly. Compare that to Jackson State playing Down Home Blues on the field. Now, granted, there's a lot of people that still know that song, and I don't hate on them for playing it. I probably wouldn't have played as much as they did. I probably would have hit just enough for people to Down Home Blues, yeah, and then go on to the next thing. I mean, it's exactly like Gerard said. It's keying in on your audience. Who are you performing for?
And that's why now I'm hearing you guys. I see how people putting the needle to Tennessee State, because other than that, that was just basically the show. They had, like you said, the appealing show. They weren't as precise as Jackson State, but I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't thinking that their drill was going to be as good as Jackson State's. But yes, the T, I was like, oh, the T, hold it, get it. And they got it when they got to the line. I guess I'd have to say, based on a little bit more of an opinion, especially someone who was there, someone who I trust that was there. It sounds like Tennessee State may have done well, or like you said, they did a good job of appealing to the crowd.
If I had to lean it toward, someone, I'd pick Tennessee State, but Jackson State show it wasn't too shabby either. It just kind of becomes a matter of just looking at who your audience is, and I think a lot of times, from a Jackson State standpoint, a lot of the alumni who come out for the show are older alumni who would appreciate Down Home Blues.
Second, were there any surprises, Gerard?
Surprise, fifth quarter wise, Jackson State playing, I'm not even sure the name of the song. I guess both bands kind of had some ammo for each other. Jackson State played this Spanish or Latin song that Tennessee State normally plays a fanfare for. Tennessee State normally just plays the fanfare for this particular song all the time.
Yeah, I don't know
it. Was it?
That may have been it. It's like a real short fanfare, a little short Spanish fanfare.
I think Tennessee State does play Malagueña. I remember having a conversation about it. So I didn't recall Tennessee, Jackson playing that, but I think that probably would be the song you talked about.
Yeah, whichever song it is, Jackson State played the whole song for it.
Yeah, they
played the whole song as the first song.
Rashad, any surprises or disappointments?
Surprises was the "Do Not Pass Me By" that Jackson State played.
Yeah.
Woo! Boy, take you back to MC Hammer, take you back to the original song. Man, that song starts with "Do not pass me by, do not pass." Starts out with sopranos and the real song coming in, and then the altos come in response, and then the sopranos, and then the tenors as well. And it's always, when you hear the original song, the tenors always throw down on that part. So with Jackson, it started with the trombones, and then added the trombones, and then the trumpets were added to that. So really, when you're looking at how a choir is set up versus how a band is set up, there was actually the opposite way, starting with the trombones instead of starting with the sopranos, and then adding the trumpets, who are the sopranos. But to represent that tenor part, they had the baritones and the mellophones. And I was like, my God.
Right.
Oh, man. That was so loud, and it sounded so good, too. Jackson State's mellophones, man, just from some of the things I heard on the field, from the angle that I was hearing it from, I don't know how accurate my statements are, because I was kind of hearing them from the side a little bit from Periscope.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I could hear, they have some of the best mellophones I've heard recently. Now, on the field, that didn't happen, and that was a disappointment. Them mellophones are kind of all over the place on the field, and I forgot about that. We were talking a moment ago. But in that song right there, they were on it. And the baritones, my God. Everybody, please go back and listen to that.
Yeah.
If you haven't accepted Jesus in your life yet.
Hi, everyone. This is Joe Beer, the Phantom Podcaster and owner and founder of the Marching Podcast. I want to tell you guys about this website, theedge1pro.com. That's DAEDGE1pro.com. This is the website of my man Garrett Ederson, the media director for Southern University's Human Jukebox. If you want to see great bands and a good idea of the HBCU experience, log into theedge1pro.com. Garrett has photos and videos of events on campus, along with parades of bands of all levels. So check out the Edge One Productions and theedge1pro.com.
Hello, this is Keenan Bush, entrepreneur, coach, and trainer. currently the founder of Keen Vision, Design, and Branding. And you are listening to the Marching Podcast Radio Network.
As far as disappointments were concerned, I was really disappointed by the term that you have coined, Joe, play calling.
Play calling.
I thought the play calling was terrible. It was terrible. Somebody play Earth, Wind, and Fire. Okay, we're going to respond with a slow song. All right, you got a slow song? We're going to play a jazz song. Okay, we're going to play a hardcore rap song. Okay, we're going to play the theme to Star Trek. What?
Right.
Like to me, you play a song, the other band's job is to try to match that song. Maybe change it up a little bit. Maybe at some point you can take the fifth quarter battle in your hands. Now we're not going to play that. We're going to play this. But to some extent, you're trying to
respond.
You're trying to respond, trying to play a better song than what they did. And neither band did that. They just played they almost said, these are the 10 songs we're going to play. And we're just going to play them in this order.
I was
kind of disappointing.
I actually was thinking about you when I saw the fifth, because you talked about in the Prunalysis. You guys make sure you guys check out the Prunalysis about the Queen City. You were breaking down Southern, and you were talking about attacking and releasing, and that was one of my surprises that jumped out at me. The attacking and releasing of "Do Not Pass Me By" in the fifth from Jackson State. I thought that was good, and like you said, it made them sound louder. Made them sound more scary and fearful. So I thought that was good. I really, really was excited about that. The disappointments, I mean, it was a little bit with the T. I mean, I'm just being real. I mean, because I like drill. So a little bit with the T, that disappointed me or whatnot. But I didn't think that anything like Gerard, there wasn't anything I would have to like sit here and really drill myself and think about something that was bad than what I saw.
Well,
I wasn't disappointed.
For me, now that I sit back and think about it, the biggest disappointment for me at the game was the stand setup.
Oh,
now,
okay.
They changed the stand setup and put the band higher up, and that made recording a whole lot more difficult, as opposed to being able just to simply record each band from the field during the game. It was a matter of just kind of having to get up in the stands and kind of walk around, and then the sound that you're getting is a closer sound. But, at the same time, too, it's a combination of shot and sound. And for me, the two kind of had to go together. I like to kind of have a good medium, good medium of both of them. Mm-hmm. And even sitting back and just kind of looking at the fifth, I just really wasn't feeling the fact that the sound was kind of really just kind of going overhead, way overhead, as opposed to just the way things had traditionally been set up. And just for me, from a recording standpoint, I just wasn't really feeling the setup.
Gerard, what was the best thing or what was the best song that you saw or heard?
Do Not Pass Me By stood out. Jackson State, Who Do I Turn To, too, also stood out. They actually kind of really brought that. I would kind of really say I'd kind of been on the fence to some extent as to playing it, being that kind of really been like a Southern staple since like the early 90s. They really brought it. I enjoyed it.
Rashad, what was the best thing or best song you heard?
Before I say that, I do want to mention it's interesting that you would say that Who Could I Run To is a Southern staple, because I was thinking that was going to come out of your mouth was Norfolk State.
I never heard Norfolk State play it. I never heard.
Oh, wow. I'm pretty sure it's the same arrangement. I didn't hear them play it yesterday. I'm almost positive it's the same arrangement or a very, very similar arrangement that they play.
See, these are the regional differences here. This is also the parity in our craft here that we breaking down. So our regional, you in one area, you think certain school rock it, but no, in this area, oh man, what about this school? So that's actually
yeah, and I hadn't heard of it. I'd always thought that was a Knighton song, actually.
Norfolk State and Jackson State with the Sanford going over there, is I wouldn't doubt that he took the arrangement with him. But seeing as how
I got you. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
It pains me to say this. It pains me. I mean, my heart is hurting as I say this, but Norfolk State used to really play that song really well. So, oh, can you edit that out?
Yeah.
Comparing them, I don't think I saw the whole fifth quarter. I saw a lot of it. But looking at everything, I really enjoyed that arrangement of ooh,
yeah.
If I Ever Fall in Love.
Yeah.
I think Tennessee State did a fantastic job with that. And I thought they were going to go with the a cappella version, but instead they went with the the part with the heavy bass subwoofer version. Oh man, and the tubas are just on that. They did a fantastic job with that, man. And then how it ended going back to the beginning of the song again. Oh, that was great, man. I have to give the arranger of that maximum credit for that. And that's, great, but seeing as how they just did All I Need, that was a really, really great job just a couple weeks ago.
I, of course, had Do Not Pass Me By and just what you, Rashad, and If I Ever Fall in Love. What tripped me out was I was watching the video from behind. But like you said, that bass, them tubas, you know what I'm saying? And you felt the somberness through the video. And I felt that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I felt like you could feel that control, because it wasn't like super, super loud or powerful, but you felt that, if I fall in love, you know what I'm saying? So I felt it. So I definitely gave it to them on that. Rashad, was there a bad thing or something that you heard?
There were some things that were not as great as others. The mellophones on that were kind of really throwing me off. As I saw the fifth quarter first. So when I heard, the mellophones were very, very consistent throughout the fifth quarter for Jackson. So, I was, man, these guys, God, they're some of the best mellophones I've heard, because mellophones can just kind of tend to be all over the place sometimes. So I almost felt like I was going to have to take my compliment back from hearing them on the field.
So who do you think won the fifth, Gerard?
I wouldn't really say it's a tough one. I guess I give it to Jackson State, but I mean, both bands were still pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Rashad, what you think? Who won the fifth?
So same thing when it comes to how I saw Tennessee State on the field and I saw them from the back. Same thing with Jackson State. I saw Jackson from the side and Tennessee State from the front. From Tennessee State, it was easier for me to hear mistakes like they didn't quite know this song 100%. Easier to hear balance issues and phrasing issues, versus Jackson. I think it was harder for me to hear that type of thing. But it sounded to me like Jackson was doing the thing over there. I mean, God. I mean, they played some amazing things over there, man. Guys, and the mellophones, again, they were just, whoo. And the baritones, of course, are powerful. But the whole band, I think they have a pretty balanced sound now where you can hear every part. I would have to give it, based on what I heard, I would have to give it to Jackson in the stands.
I'm the same way with you guys. I felt Tennessee State wasn't going to be as loud, but I felt the play calling. When the Boom played Do Not Pass Me By, I felt they played something back and it wasn't a good response. From the video, it's just like, man, you took all the air out the place. You know what I mean? And then, of course, the Boom came back with another song, and it was, like, so.
Joe, I think the song you're talking about, somebody on Periscope said it was Say Something. I think that was the one where you was, like you said, and I think it was the response to Do Not Pass Me By, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
That it was just like, that just wasn't a really good response.
Yeah, it just wasn't a good response. So I felt like that's how they lost it. And you can lose on play calling, you know what I mean?
Yep, certainly can.
So I felt that's how they lost it. In this last segment, I want to ask you guys, I saw an article on the HBCU Digest. This section here, we usually play like some type of game, like over, under, or something. Here, I'm just going to ask you guys some good places to attend. So my man, Jared Carter Sr., president there and I think owner and founder there at HBCU Digest, put out an article talking about 5 events you must attend. Now, the cool thing about it was that these aren't homecoming events. He lists some really, really good events that people should listen to. And I don't want to read them all out because I want people to check out his website. But I know one of them here, number 5, is the White House Initiative on Historically Black Colleges and University Annual Conference. There's an annual conference here that we should be all attending, or at least should be spreading the word about attending as HBCU graduates. So I wanted to ask you guys, what event, if you are an HBCU alum, should you attend, or should we be telling the world or telling other young people about so they attend at HBCU?
I'm going to keep it home, man, right here. You need to attend show-style band competitions, Honda Battle of the Bands, Queen City Battle of the Bands, anything that involves our marching bands. It is a unique art form that we have, and I think it is one of the best forms of advertising that we have for our universities. I always will, think to Talladega as probably one of the best examples. so many people that have never heard of Talladega College right there out of Alabama. I'd never heard of them before. But because they were able to come to these events and perform in front of all of us, now so many people across the nation know about this university, and giving it the opportunity as a place that they can send their young people is a great place to learn more about the HBCUs.
That's outstanding, man. That's actually really
Certainly
good.
so.
Yeah, man, definitely. I mean, right on point, man. Myself, I had to think about Jared Carter himself, Jared Carter Sr., with HBCU Digest. They have every year the HBCU Awards, and there's an annual conference. There's a banquet every year for the HBCU Awards. So that was one thing I thought about. I was like, man, HBCU Digest himself, he goes to a different school every year, and they go through a list of awards, and of course all the schools are given different awards, and then at the end he gives out an HBCU of the year. So the HBCU of the year, I believe Jackson State was one year. But that was something I was like, man, everybody needs to know about this, because everybody should be supporting it or trying to do something for their school to win, or maybe this is something, another battle of the band section that we could have, or another excuse for us to all fellowship together. But I was like, man, that's the first thing I thought about. We should do more with the HBCU awards. And then kind of on like the sports side of things, I thought about the CIAA tournament, the basketball tournament in Charlotte, and a Tuskegee football game. Now, I don't know which ones are crunk. I'm sure the homecoming game is crunk, but you should want to go there so you could get like a broadcast of you doing the whole ball and parlay thing. I would like to do that. All right, so that's actually outstanding, guys. Anything in closing, Gerard? I really appreciate your time. Really appreciate you being on the show this week. Anything in closing, or anything we should be looking out for you and HBCUbands.com?
Man, just looking forward to another season of bringing you all great footage.
What about you, Rashad?
Just another season of bringing you spats, shoes, and gloves.
That's outstanding. You guys make sure.
There you go.
You guys make sure you guys check out HBCUbands.com and blockbandmusic.com.
Hello, this is Dr. Martin Rex Kedziora. I am the Chief Academic Officer for the Moreno Valley Unified School District. I'm a graduate of the University of La Verne, where I received my doctorate degree, and you are listening to the Marching Podcast Radio Network.
This is Antonio Barino, Graduate Assistant Director, Assistant Arranger for the Alabama State University Mighty Marching Hornets, and you're listening to the Marching Podcast Radio Network.
Hello, this is Keenan Bush, entrepreneur, coach, and trainer, currently the founder of Keen Vision, Design, and Branding, and you are listening to the Marching Podcast Radio Network.
We've come to the end of our broadcast. We've hoped you like the new format of the show. Check out the website and donate what's in your heart to themarchingpodcast.com. Check out the website, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. Thanks to you for listening. And remember, the lectures you deliver may be very fine and true, but I'd rather get my lessons by observing what you do. See you next time.